everyone, I'm Adrian, and I thought it would be nice to have a little heart-to-heart with y'all about my first year experience in college, because I think it would be nice for me to reflect on this very momentous time of my life, as well as it might be helpful for prospective students or just be entertaining in general. So, some background. I am now a second-year student at the University of California, Irvine, and my major is social ecology, and I'm interested in pursuing a film and media studies minor, so we'll see how that goes. So, a question I've gotten asked a lot is, oh, was UCI your dream school? Was it your first choice? And to be honest, I've never had a dream school. Back in high school, I knew I wanted to go to college in the future, but I wasn't really sure what I wanted to major in. I didn't really have a career goal. And it's funny because at every college campus tour I've been to, the tour guide would never fail to round up the prospective students and play fun icebreaker games in which they ask, oh, what's your major? And when they'd get to me, I'd be like, I don't know yet. In retrospect, I know that it was okay not to know what I wanted to do yet, but that really pressured me a lot because here I was in these college tours and even in my own high school where a lot of the people that were my age, that were around me, I felt like they had it more together than I did. Even though I had good grades and participated in extracurriculars, I was just doubting myself a whole lot, but nonetheless, I got accepted to 2 colleges. Hey y'all, it's Editing Adrian, and I just wanted to tell y'all a little bit more about how I ended up selecting my major. I got accepted to Cal State Northridge and UCI as a sociology major because that's what I wound up selecting during the application process. And after I got admitted to UCI, there was this event called Celebrate UCI for prospective students or admitted students. And at the event, there's this booth for this major called social ecology, and I never heard of that before, so I was curious. And after I spoke with the person that was working there, I realized that this subject aligned with a lot more of my interests. The umbrella theme of the subject is humans' relationship with the environment and vice versa, how each impacts the other. There's criminology, law, and society, there's urban planning, there's psychology and social behavior. Because I was interested in all of those fields, I decided to take general social ecology. I also heard somewhere that UCI is one of the pioneer schools of this major, so it was really cool to see how things fell into place for me after I got admitted. Like, even though I wasn't fully confident in the major I applied as, it was really nice discovering that there is more out there for me and for my interests. So discovering that major really made me feel like I belonged at UCI. I really did feel in that moment that all of the work that I put in to making a bright future for myself, it really paid off and it felt great. So let's talk about physically moving into UCI. And on move-in day, it just felt so surreal because a whole year prior to that, during my senior year of high school, I couldn't envision myself doing something like this, and there I was. Even though being away from home was a fear of mine, it also felt exciting, feeling a little bit more grown up. I was really excited to be able to have a new space, to decorate all cute. I had been watching a lot of dorm tours. P.S. I have a dorm tour of my own on my channel. You should totally check it out. The actual move-in process itself wasn't that bad. We just borrowed a truck from my aunt and we just hauled all of my stuff over to our room, and it wasn't that bad. So I was to be dorming in Middle Earth, and in Middle Earth, my residence hall was called Gondolin, and I was to be sharing a double room with a randomly assigned roommate. And so let's talk about my roommate situation. I had a couple of friends who had roommate horror stories, and that made me feel very nervous because this was going to be a person that I had to live with for a year. But I was trying to see the best in things and think, hey, I might make a really good friend out of this. And that was true. So Jackie, I'm gonna give you the biggest shout out right now because you are a really great person and a wonderful friend and a wonderful roommate. When I met Jackie, we got along very quickly. We had the same birthday, we discovered how alike we were, and I formed a really strong connection with her, and it was just exciting to watch us figure out this first year together. And it was also nice just doing little things with each other, like going out to eat at the dining hall, or going grocery shopping together, going to school events together, and staying up really late to study. It's also really nice to have a roommate who has the same wacko sleeping schedule as you, so you could both stay up until 5 a.m. working on last minute assignments. It's also nice just having someone that you can really trust and have nice silly talks with. And just overall, someone that you're comfortable coming back to your dorm to. Having a good roommate has really enhanced my first year experience and just also really helped me grow a lot. So thank you, Jackie, I love you very much. The second part of this video is titled Adjusting. So I'll start off with academics. UCI is on a quarter system, which means that there are 3 quarters, fall, winter, and spring. Each quarter has 11 weeks, 10 being for academic instruction, and the 11th one being a finals week that just focuses on tests. So the pace is incredibly quick compared to the semester system. So signing up for classes at first was a really stressful process, but eventually I ended up figuring it out, and signing up for classes on my own felt a bit easier. In the fall quarter, I took 3 classes. In the winter quarter, I took 5. And in the spring, I took only 4. So my course load has varied for the whole school year, and it helped me figure out what really works for me or what really spreads me thin. Winter quarter was very rough. As for physically getting to classes, I remember that I had Google Maps loaded on my phone like a day or 2 before classes started, and I remember putting in the classroom buildings, and I would walk to those places and keep note of the estimated time of arrival. Since I lived in Middle Earth, which is pretty much on-campus core, it was pretty close to a lot of my classes. Well, as for the course load, 10 weeks of instruction for these different classes really does feel overwhelming. It really doesn't help when you have poor study habits like I do. This was the first year that I've owned a laptop, and I realized how dependent I became on it to do work or take notes, to the point where I just felt like I wasn't really understanding concepts, but rather copying, pasting, and memorizing them. I ended up using notebooks for 2 different classes, and even though those classes were really difficult, I realized that writing really helped with my retention and understanding of material. Another poor habit of mine is not asking for help. I found myself really intimidated because of how large my classroom sizes were, and I just didn't want to bug a professor or a TA whenever I had a question, so I would always just try scouring the internet or bothering Jackie. Even though I was able to get by, it was just really stressful, and I could have saved myself a lot of time and probably understood a concept better. As for studying for finals, I don't have a study plan. I usually find myself maybe making a Quizlet, forgetting to fill in the Quizlet, skimming through notes or rewriting notes, and hoping for the best and staying up until like 5 a.m. doing this. The Thursday before my move out day, I pulled an all-nighter with Jackie, and I had 2 things due that same morning, and that was like the first time I actually like stayed up a full 24 hours. And I told myself every stinking quarter that I would have better study habits, but it just doesn't happen. But I'm really determined to hold myself accountable for this for the next school year. But even with my terrible study habits, I surprisingly did pretty okay. Our professors were generous enough to let us ride that grading curve. C's get degrees, as I've heard. Even with all the stress that comes from academics, it can feel really rewarding, especially when you have fun professors that like to rap about climate change. It was really exciting learning new material, even if it might have been difficult or something I was unfamiliar with. It felt nice feeling my brain grow, because there is so much about the world that I don't know, and I think education is really valuable because it expands your worldview, it helps you discover new passions. Like for example, I took different environmental science related classes, and I discovered that I have a passion for sustainability, and this was something that was not present in my life at all like a year ago. So it's really exciting discovering myself through academics. I think education is awesome, and I'm extremely grateful to even have this opportunity, especially because I'm able to go to a school like this, be able to afford it, be able to live where I do. So I definitely won't take it for granted. So as for adjusting my lifestyle habits, a big lesson that I've learned is to listen to your body. Whether it be for physical health or mental health, it's really important to serve your body's needs. For example, I would find myself sleeping really late and waking up however early I had to for class that day. And I would balance that lack of sleep with way too much caffeine. So I'm not proud to say that I've graduated from black tea to coffee and yerba mate. To fix this in a productive manner, I started holding myself accountable for my sleep. I would keep track of the times that I would go to sleep and time I would wake up. After reviewing weeks of my sleep logs, it made me realize how poorly I was treating my body. After that, I just started making mild adjustments, sleeping a little bit earlier. I also found myself taking a lot more naps rather than reaching for a $3 coffee or yerba mate. And from that experience, I can say that my sleeping schedule became less bad. Another thing, I got sick every quarter of that school year, and I hardly get sick that often. I honestly think that was just a result of me not taking care of myself. So getting a high fever every quarter really pushed me to take better care of my health. Alongside my physical well-being, I also thought it was important to take care of my mental health. Even in the midst of all of the academic stress, I learned that it was important to do stuff for myself. And so to keep myself afloat, I would do things that I loved. And usually these would be creative projects such as doodling or painting or baking or editing videos for YouTube. And it was really nice to be able to feel a little bit more relaxed and at home with myself from just doing these little things. So overall, in terms of adjusting, I think it was just a matter of pushing myself to where I needed to be, but also listening to my own needs. So this next section of the video is called Exploring, and I'll start off with something that happened to me in the winter quarter. I was having this little pickle about reapplying for this film organization that I joined in the fall. It wasn't that I had a terrible experience or anything, but it just didn't feel exciting, and I kind of felt like I wasted my time. However, I still had this feeling in me that I still wanted to apply because I wanted to get more experience in film. But even if I had that part in me that still wanted to do it, what was bugging me the most was the fear of not enjoying this next experience. That's when Jackie said, maybe saying I didn't like it is better than saying I wish I tried. And that was some solid advice. So I took that advice and ran with it, and that winter quarter ended up being a really positive experience for me. So after hearing that, I tried applying that advice more. I knew that I wanted to be more active in school, so I knew that there were different opportunities of growth in that. As mentioned earlier, I joined that film organization, and basically we would get into groups and make student short films together, and we would take on different roles in the filmmaking process. So in that, I was the art director for both of the films in those quarters, as well as a co-writer of the script in the winter quarter, which is why it was really fun for me. So it was also nice meeting new people and making a good friend from co-writing a script, so shout out to Elijah. Another way that I dipped my toes into school culture was this open mic night at our women's hub. I was so pumped when I found out that there was an open mic night on campus because I love me some spoken word. It felt really nice just having this support for this thing that I really love. Also, another way that I got involved was through volunteer work. So at UCI, we have this place called the Fresh Basic Needs Hub, and it's a wonderful place where we have a food pantry, a kitchenette, a study area, and also resources like workshops or helping students apply for CalFresh. I just think it's a great place, so I applied as a volunteer there, so I did that for winter and spring quarter, and also I was able to secure a job there for next year. It's just really good to get yourself out there and explore your interests and pursue them. So far from my experience, college has felt like this little bubble where a lot of opportunities are open to me that I know that won't exist in the future, so why not make the most of them? So regarding school culture, just a fun fact from the school year, there's this guy dubbed Petter, and he would dress up in all black, ski mask and everything, and he would drop these lovely stickers on campus, and he would print hundreds of them for students and give them away for free. He would announce that he was dropping a sticker at a certain time, but he wouldn't announce the location. So picture a bunch of students refreshing their Instagram in the middle of Aldrich Park and sprinting once he releases the location. It's just something silly and sweet like that. That makes me grateful that I'm at UCI. And overall, all of these experiences and all of these encounters that I've had with the different people that I've met here, it's reassuring to me knowing that everybody around me is also figuring things out in this little college bubble, and it just feels nice having this sense of community. So the next section of this video is called Learning, and basically I'll be covering very valuable lessons I learned over the school year. So the first lesson that I've learned was that I'm always learning new things. Whether it's learning how many caffeinated beverages I can handle in less than 24 hours, or learning about how much sea ice has melted since the 1980s, I've learned that I'm always learning new things about myself and of the world. And it's amazing how much I've learned in just 1 year, and I can't even imagine how much more in the next. My next lesson is to express appreciation, whether it be your family or your friends, or just anybody that you care about. Being away from my family has really made me love them in a way that I never have before. And I try my best to express that to them, especially when they drive 3 hours through traffic to pick me up if I want to go home for the weekend, or even just to visit me for a couple hours on Sundays. I'm just extremely grateful for all that they've done for me and all the ways that they've supported me. And this gratitude has definitely translated into my other relationships. I'm just so glad that my loved ones make that effort to keep me present in their lives even if I'm not with them. And even though I gained that independence that I romanticized when I was dreaming about college before, I realized that absence really does make the heart grow fonder. And throughout all of the stress I was going through, I realized that I coped with it in an unhealthy way by isolating myself. Having that expression of love between the people in my life, to me, it was really valuable and it helped me feel whole again. So another lesson I learned was that I want to expand my social circle. I'm very introverted. It's very hard for me to get myself out there and make that effort to make new friends. Normally, I would find myself hardly ever going out and staying in my room and just kind of keeping to myself. And I've learned that this is an aspect of myself that I really want to change because it's nice having friends. This also could be useful for networking purposes and getting more resources from knowing more people. So it's a win-win. If you see me on campus, say hi. Another lesson that I learned was that there will be hard days. And what I've learned was the most efficient way to get myself through those hard days was how I decided to take care of myself. Whether it be by directly confronting the problem, which definitely helped me make more mature decisions for my personal growth, or just by slowing down and allowing myself to have a break. Ultimately, these forms of self-care both actively helped me through difficult times. My last lesson is to stop and smell the flowers. Throughout this school year, I've definitely developed this really unhealthy feeling of being preoccupied with worries of school all the time. There was never really a moment where I could just sit down and, let's say, watch Netflix and not be thinking about an assignment that's due. To counter this, I tried finding different things that I could look forward to, such as the different pages on Jackie's 365-day dog calendar, and even other things like taking in beautiful scenery like a sunset, or taking myself on a picnic in Aldrich Park. I learned that I really am in charge of my life, and I don't want external forces that are temporary to be making me feel suffocated. And from stopping and smelling the flowers, I've learned that life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you might miss it. Finally, this last section is called moving out. So physically moving out wasn't a difficult process because I had been taking some stuff home whenever I visited home or whenever my parents would visit me. As for the emotional aspect of moving out, I was really sad to be parting ways with Jackie, and it was kind of sad seeing my side of the room being really bare and empty. And as I was leaving Middle Earth and driving away from Irvine, I felt that same sense of eagerness I did when I was moving in. And that was just the excitement of the unknown. And I just find it incredible how much I've grown in such a short amount of time. And I'm just really excited to see what's next. And I'm really thankful for the people that have helped me throughout it all. So wherever you are in your journey in life right now, and even if you're afraid of the unknown, just know that it can also be exciting. So I wish you luck in whatever you do, and thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!